It's time for Windows Weekly. Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley are here. We're going to address those gloom and doom predictions about the fall of PC sales. Is it Windows 8 fault, or is it, in fact, a good thing? We'll talk about it next on Windows Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Windows Weekly is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This is Windows Weekly with Paul Thurrott and Mary Jo Foley. Episode 307, recorded April 11th, 2013. WAAD goes GA. Windows Weekly is brought to you by Directory Wizards. If you have a need for directory synchronization, Directory Wizards has a solution. Unity Sync. Offer a truly unified GAL, create a messaging forest, link seamlessly with HR databases, or build a backup forest to aid in disaster recovery. Visit durwiz.com/windows for an extended evaluation that you can download, configure, and put into action today. And by Rackspace, the open cloud company. At Rackspace, build what you want, where you want it, and how you want it, all backed by their world-renowned fanatical support. Try it today. Download the open cloud at rackspace.com/open. And by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create a professional website, blog, portfolio, or online store. Check out their new commerce solution so you can start selling stuff immediately. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, visit squarespace.com and use the offer code WINDOWS4. It's time for Windows Weekly, the show that talks all about Windows Weekly. So that explains the name. But what it doesn't explain is why there's two people on the screen behind me. Well, that's Paul Thurrott there. He's the editor-in-chief of the Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com, and an analyst at Penton Media. And then to his left is Mary Jo Foley. She blogs about Microsoft, kind of definitive Microsoft blog at allaboutmicrosoft.com for ZDNet. And see, between the two of them, there's nothing they don't know. Right, guys?
That's quite a claim. I bet some people would be okay with that, but no, I don't think that.
Well,
unfortunately.
Here's the thing. I have to admit, I've been reading all these stories about Windows this week, and there's a lot of news, and it almost invariably quotes either one or the other of you.
Sure.
So you must be the guys.
That's what I keep trying to tell people. But.
So welcome. How are you? Good to see you.
Look how good Paul looks this week.
What happened? What did you do, Paul? Oh, you got a new camera.
You sent me a camera, actually.
Oh, wow. Aren't we good?
I turned off auto
iris, auto focus, auto white balance.
I should turn that back on.
All the autos probably should be off, but I don't know. Maybe auto white balance.
Does it look a little soft?
No, it looks hard.
Natural softness.
Your microphone's in perfect focus. You see, and fin du monde is out of focus.
All right, so if I put...
And so what you need to kind of, I don't know, get it to focus on your head, and then turn it off.
I'll do this. No. Move that. Is it better now or no? No.
I like A.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, it's fine.
It's working.
It's fine. It's good. You look, as Mary Jo said, look how great Paul looks.
He does.
Yeah, that's all.
I never hear that.
We're buttering him up for later.
Butter him up, my dear. So let's talk a little bit about, I guess the big story, really, it's all over the place, is PC sales.
Oh, no, it's not the North Korea thing?
That too. Kim Jong, what's the kid's name?
It doesn't matter.
Kim Jr.
Kim Jr.
Gonna fire off some missiles, see where they go. Might go
Did
here.
You see the headline, though? It said North Korean missile test delayed by Windows 8.
No. Did it?
No, so, yeah. No. It's a joke, obviously.
Oh, it's a joke. Okay.
The funny part is let me see if I can find it. The last line of the story says, Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un is furious about Windows 8 and is considering a number of options, including declaring war on Microsoft.
What's this from?
It's from the New Yorker.
Is it The Onion?
New Yorker, yeah.
New Yorker.
The New Yorker. Is it really true that he's furious?
No, he uses an iMac, as you would expect of any Bond style.
I saw the Mac on his desk. Yeah, as all Bond villains do. Yeah. But you're right. This is the headline, Andy Borowitz. But I believe this is the Borowitz report, which is a comedy column, just so you know. But it does tell you a little something about the perception of Windows 8. Mm-hmm. That you could even make this joke. tells you something. Looks like Mao Zedong right behind Kim. That can't be.
Probably not.
He's resurrected him, or he has a wax statue.
Unless he's got some kind of a Lenin style, preservation.
He's got the wax one. No, this is a comedy. The Borowitz report. If you don't read the New Yorker on a regular basis, you probably don't know that this.
We should see if we can get that guy in the podcast.
He's actually very funny, but he's not a Windows expert by any means. So it's just very funny. It's very funny. And by the way, The Onion says Kim Jong-un is the sexiest man alive, 2012. Yeah. So that's good.
Wow.
He's doing well.
He is.
But enough mocking North Korea. I don't want to get a missile aimed at me. Not that it would reach me, but the real story, and it's a huge story, it started with IDC and Gartner, and it really is that PC sales are down as much, what do they say, 13%, a huge drop in PC sales. Is this the worst ever?
It's the worst since IDC's been tracking it, I think.
Yeah, which is probably forever.
It's been for a while.
14% global PC shipments down 14% in the first 3 months of 2013.
Global.
I think the story, because a lot of people sort of look at this in isolation and don't understand that this, or I should say, a drop off this quarter was actually expected. The issue, or the reason this is a story, although it's getting a little blown out of proportion, I think, is that the drop off was more than expected, right? That both of these firms had said last year that the first half of next year, meaning this year now, would be like this, that they would be, the PC sales would be down. And both of them said at the time they expected PC sales to pick up again, and that overall for 2013, growth in the PC market would either be flat or maybe even a little positive. And so we'll see how that gets adjusted, because this is in fact worse than what they thought it was going to be.
Although Apple's sales went up 7.4% in the U.S.
Well, okay, so that's according to Gartner. According to IDC, they went down 7.5%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gartner's doing global.
They're both doing U.S. and global.
They are.
So,
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was expected. Why?
Well, a lot of people say, Windows 8 is the problem. The truth is PC sales had been down year over year in the quarters leading up to Windows 8's release as well. And so this is the fourth quarter in a row. And I guess the reasons why are fairly obvious, although I think a little more nuanced than many people believe. So, for example, people will always cite tablet and smartphone sales as reasons why demand for PCs are soft.
It's the post-PC world.
Well, maybe. The other thing, though, is that, PCs last a long time. And the reality is that this trend goes back before there were tablets and really before there were smartphones, in the sense that before any of this stuff happened, we had netbooks. And what we found out with netbooks was that when presented with a $300 option, people would buy it and supplement their existing PC.
But you could make the case that netbooks were still PCs and were running Windows, maybe not Windows 7.
No, of course. But what I'm saying is, as far as buying habits go, with the a couple of things kind of happened at the same time. I mean, one, PCs became kind of commodity products. Obviously, they all, they tend to last longer. We're still running Windows XP today. 40% of the users out there still have Windows XP on their computers. So things, people are keeping these things in the market longer.
Clock's ticking, kids.
Well, but this trend sort of supersedes tablets and smartphones in a way, is what I'm saying, is that, confronted by a cheaper alternative, people didn't replace computers with netbooks. They supplemented them, and they kept their computers going longer. And I think we're seeing the same exact trend. And so it's sort of an unfortunate side effect of popularity, but also, I hate to say this when you talk about PCs, but also quality in a way, that these things can stay up and running for longer and do. And that people are turning to, consumption devices for entertainment, but keeping the PC around for work. And that their work consumption ratios are a little higher or a lot higher probably toward the consumption end of the scale.
Right.
The other thing to point out too, at least on the IDC numbers, is we're not totally sure what they're tracking here. I've seen a lot of back and forth on Twitter, like, are they counting any kind of a hybrid device where the keyboard can be removed, or aren't they? And nobody seems to really know if that category of machines is included in these numbers. So that's not just Surface. That's, things like the Yoga and a lot of other ones that are both tablet and PC. So are they counting these as PCs, or are they not counting these as PCs? We're not 100% sure, and no one from IDC is really saying that very clearly.
Right.
Well, to be fair, I don't think that sales of those devices
gigantic,
are particularly high. But then again, I don't remember the exact number, but I want to say PC sales this quarter probably in the 74, 75 million range, something like that. And whereas they would have been 85, 88, something like that a year ago, something like that. We're still talking, pretty big numbers. I mean, that's kind of the weird thing. Apple has sold over 100 million iPads over 3 years, but PC makers just sold 70 million PCs.
76.
In what, 76 million.
76.
In what has been described as the biggest PC apocalypse in history. So, it's okay. Fair enough. I mean, I don't think this thing drops off a cliff. I think that PC sales kind of settled down to something that's maybe a little more modest. That's all.
This is not. It's no reflection at all on Windows.
Oh no, Windows 8 sucks, Leo. Let's be clear.
Okay. let's not mince words here. All right. Okay.
No, I mean, I like Windows 8, but the one
Is it Vista? Is it the point being that Vista wasn't as bad as everybody said it was, but there was a perception problem.
That is certainly very similar. Vista is interesting because Vista, in many ways now, because of the way things have gone, will be Microsoft's last big blast in the traditional PC space. Their last big fundamental shift for a system that was aimed only at PCs, like traditional PCs.
Right.
At the time, I think the big problem for Vista was that they shot so high with it that it required next generation hardware, especially video displays and everything. And by the way, this is when netbooks were a big thing. We just talked about this. The pushback then was like, whoa. All of a sudden we have these $300-400 computers, and now you want me to spend a lot of money on something expensive that can run the graphics that are in your next gen system. And I think people kind of put a blocker up to that. This time, they again are reaching far into the future in a way, and looking at the trends that are going on with computing purchases, and they've adapted Windows very quickly to this touch interface. But as a constant self-doubter, I look at something like this, Windows 8, Windows RT, and also Windows Phone, by the way, and I think you can talk about whether this is a good design or not, and I think that there's some good credible claims that Windows Phone in particular has a good design. It was literally designed by designers.
No, I'd agree with that. Yeah,
all that kind of stuff. It doesn't help though that no one is buying the thing. So I guess my sort of pragmatic way of looking at it is it a good design if no one likes it?
Right.
And ultimately you're making a product that you intend for people to buy and like and embrace. And if they're not doing that, I think you could make an argument again that maybe this wasn't the right product. And I think it's we're kind of barreling down a certain path with the Microsoft stuff right now. And I hope that there are people there who are evaluating whether this is the right track to be on.
I think the other thing too, though, is IDC, in talking about these numbers, they were very cut and dried about this. They're like, a big part of the reason these are off is Windows 8, and I don't think it's that kind of a connection or correlation. I found a blog post today by Tim Anderson, who's an independent freelance writer, where he said, does the sales drop implicate or justify Windows 8? Which was a very interesting question, right?
Well, how would it justify it?
Because you have to say, what Microsoft did with Windows 8 was they anticipated that PC sales were going to die off at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, they never present it that way, but they really are thinking that and moving that way, in that Windows 8 was designed to be a touch-centric operating system that works best, or at least I would say best, on tablets. It also
Maybe
works on
only
laptops.
on tablets, one might say.
It works on laptops too, but like I think that they were looking ahead to the future, and the question is, did they look too far ahead? Should they have had the interim step where they had something that was like Windows 7.5, right?
Yeah, I happen to agree with that completely. I mean, I look at this and I think, from the perspective of someone who does want, and prefer a traditional PC, I kind of wish there was a version of Windows 8 that was just for that didn't have the touch stuff on it. I think that would be more efficient and better and so forth. But
and didn't have Metro, you mean?
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, not just touch, but just was pure desktop.
Yeah.
But that looks so much like Windows 7. Would consumers know the difference?
Yeah,
right. Well, if Windows 8 had been just the desktop part of Windows 7, this little disaster we're seeing unfolding in front of us would have been worse. And all of these people who are ragging on Windows 8 right now would have been saying, Microsoft doesn't get it. Here they are foisting a traditional desktop OS on us in an age where everyone is moving to touch devices.
Right.
Why don't they understand?
Yeah, you're good.
Exactly.
It's a good point.
You know that's true. I mean, that's true. And so
true.
for all these people who are just going nuts on Microsoft right now, and I'd written something about this in December where, the article being, Microsoft's mobile strategy is correct, which is basically we can quibble over the details of whether Metro makes sense and whether these UIs make sense and blah, blah, blah. But here is an example of a company that we traditionally think of as slow moving and behind the times, moving very aggressively to get a huge user base, moving forward to a completely new way of doing things. It's going to meet lots of resistance, no doubt about it. But I really do think that had they not done this conversation we're having right now would have been a lot worse and a lot more negative toward Microsoft and for the PC industry.
Yep. I think it's a little bit, not just a little bit, it's a lot. It's way too much oversimplification to say everybody hates Windows 8 and so no one's buying PCs. Like, to me, that's just like,
it's not even
not
true.
really.
It's not even true.
No. And, the business users who are the ones who are kind of the most reticent at this point to even consider Windows 8 all in all, they're still in the midst of deploying Windows 7. So it's to me, it's not they're rejecting Windows 8 at this point. It's just like they're not on that path. They're on the path to upgrade to Windows 7. And,
this is normal.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Whether Windows 8 was amazing, whether it let them boot straight to the desktop, whether it didn't, I don't really think that would impact the rollout plans of businesses. They're already on a path, and that's the path they're going to keep following no matter what.
Businesses were not rolling out Windows 8 no matter what it was. This thing could have cured cancer, and they would have said no to it. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, but
yeah.
Well, the world's changing. I mean, it's still fair to say the world is changing. And so right now, Windows PCs, by and large, are too expensive to get them in some version that includes all those touch things, like a tablet or a hybrid device. And people instead, when they are buying PCs, tend to buy the lower end PCs that don't have that stuff. And so they're not getting a great experience. And the system as it stands, I mean, Windows 8 is a 1.0 product. There's no way around it. This is a hybrid system. It's an interim release. It's going to get better. That doesn't help us today. So there's a lot of things kind of going against it. There is an argument to be made that the hybrid approach makes some sense, but I think there's also a great argument to be made that simple wins. And I don't think anyone would look at Windows 8 and describe it as simple.
It's not simple.
No.
Not simple.
It's true.
No. Mm-hmm.
No. I always said, and I still maintain, if they had just changed a couple things with Windows 8, I don't think there would have been as much reports of people saying they were confused by it. Like, I think they could have done the Metro screen and maybe not the charms. Like, they changed so much in the UI all at once.
They could have had Metro as an option on PCs. It could have been something that was disabled by default on traditional PCs.
What if they just put in a switch to disable it, make it on by default, but what if they'd done that? I mean, they said adamantly, no, we'll never do that. But what if they had done that? Would that change people's perception? It might change mine. That's how I would be using it right now.
You could have RT or whatever on tablets and Windows 8 desktop on PCs. Oh, and by the way, here's the little switch you can flip if you want to play with it until you get your new, get the new tablet. I mean, then it would have been seen as kind of a nice gift.
Right.
The way it is now, it's seen as something they're jamming down your throat,
And
like
don't
where the goose,
pre-install both versions of IE. Just install desktop IE, and then if you flip the switch that turns on Metro, say, "Oh, would you like to download Metro versions of your apps?"
Leo, the way that IE works in Windows 8/RT is like the plot from Young Frankenstein. It is the craziest,
I know,
most insane.
It drives me nuts. I want to cry.
Makes zero sense.
I know.
But you know why they did it, right?
I'm so glad.
Like,
I'm relieved to hear you say that, Paul, because I feel like I'm an idiot. I think I'm just getting old, and I should retire from this business and go raise
Leo,
apples.
That it was designed to make you feel like an idiot. It is. It makes no sense. No sense.
But you know why we talked about this when we were talking about them developing Windows 8. Why did they do this and force people to go Metro? Because if you did let people toggle, developers never would have built Metro style apps.
Nobody will go Metro
Ever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No,
Because
I
they'd be like,
understand.
no.
We even said this. We said Microsoft is all in. They're committed.
Yep.
They're going to make it, and they need to make it.
The more I think
Really?
about it, if people are buying Windows 8 on traditional computers, let them use the computer as a computer, and give them that thing as sort of an optional thing they can able to play with. Someday when I have a touch computer, this will be awesome. By kind of jamming that stuff in our faces, they're creating a situation where people feel like Microsoft doesn't listen to them, Microsoft doesn't care what they need or want. Microsoft is only concerned with pushing the system that nobody seems to want down everyone's throats. I mean, it's exactly the wrong kind of relationship you want to have with the system and with the company that makes it, and they should know better than that. It could still be there. And if I were to buy a Surface RT or some other RT device or a hybrid machine, some kind of tablet, touchy, whatever kind of computer, I would want the Metro stuff to be on, and it should be on by default. And there would be converts to that, as there are today. I mean, there are people who love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. On my Surface RT, I almost only use Metro.
Yeah.
I almost never go to the desktop because I use it as a consumer device.
But it makes sense for a tablet.
It does. Right.
It makes a lot of sense, yeah. I mean, that's the sad part of all this. They've, again, it's 1.0. This is like the deer that can't walk yet because it's too young. It keeps falling down. But they're going to get it there. It's just not quite there yet. You can tell it's going to be something eventually, but, it needs some improvement.
Yeah.
Thought you were going to go deer in the headlights there.
No, that's us. but I mean, it's bad enough that they're kind of forcing it on us, but they're forcing this thing that's not even done on us. And I think that's the central complaint, the indignity of it.
It's not even finished. And, well, there's a long tradition in the industry of making people use beta products. That's not, of course, your operating system is kind of a big deal. It's like
we've got to get past that. There are way too many people buying these products to foisting a beta anything.
Well, here's a question, and I don't have an experience with this, so I don't know. I'm not fond of Windows 8. I'm still using it. I really want to give it a chance, so I'm going to use it till the cows come home. But what if you gave it to an inexperienced, maybe somebody who'd never used Windows before, or a less sophisticated user who just lives in Excel or something like that? How do they react to it? What is their...
I mean, in my limited reaction, actually, it's not too horrible.
Yeah. Maybe we're just, we're...
It's almost like we know too much about it.
Yeah, I'm an old dog.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way. I'm an old dog, and it's hard for me to learn new tricks. But how about young dogs?
Right.
Yeah, what do you call that thing where you're in kind of the spin zone or whatever?
The bubble.
The bubble?
Yeah.
We're in the bubble.
Yeah, people who are not that familiar with Windows, like my niece, for one, who's 21. She saw my Surface over the holiday, picked it up, immediately used it in like 1 minute.
See?
Not even a learning curve.
Did she find the charms bar?
Yep.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
She's like,
that's,
oh, what do you do?
That's
Okay,
an Agatha Christie right there. How do I turn it off? Well, see if you can find it.
Yeah.
How do I
But
search?
people who are really enmeshed in Windows, who use it for work, who've used it for 20 years, it's a big change. It's big. It's different.
Maybe
it's
so. Maybe
really,
that's
really
it. Maybe and that's why businesses wouldn't like it. They don't want to retrain.
Yeah, definitely. They don't want to pay to retrain
It's a
everything.
lot of retraining.
Isn't that amazing, though? So here's Microsoft, where their bread and butter customers, frankly, are our business customers. And here's this new system. We sort of know that you're not going to install it. But we're going to make sure you don't install it by not putting any control in there for you to turn off the desktop.
But it's what you said. Microsoft's mobile strategy is correct. Microsoft could not sit back and let the world move away, and so it was not the idea. I'm sure there were discussions in there. This is not ideal. This is going to piss people off, but we have to do it. It's the best. I don't know
that they had to do it. That's my issue. I think
okay, that's the question.
I like that they're moving rapidly with this kind of interface. I think it's smart to do it, but like I said, there's no reason they can't have had a switch. There's no, software is supposed to be pretty smart. I mean,
I know.
Are you telling me that you couldn't look at the computer and say, "Hey, it looks like you're using a non-touch desktop tower. You want us to turn off the tablet-y stuff?" That would be nice.
Yeah, but it's strategically, as Mary Jo's pointed out, it's strategically risky, more than risky, deadly.
All right. Well, they did what they did. I think
developers would stick with the desktop. Nobody'd write Metro apps.
Yep.
Sure.
Makes me want to cry.
I cry myself to sleep every night, Leo.
Makes me want to cry.
From the hints we've
on
seen
my
about
surface.
Blue, from those hints we've seen about Blue, they know that people can't find the charms.
Right.
Like they're starting to make it surface, no pun intended, the way you do search, right?
Right.
So it's way easier to find search in Windows Blue.
But even
so
that's
maybe we'll see more of
aggravating.
those kind of visual cues, right?
But so you're right, and that is a good thing. Windows Phone did this 2 years ago. They made this exact same mistake. And on a Windows Phone device, the search button was sitting right there in front of you. You could even see it, and they still fixed it. The Windows guys, it's almost like I could almost imagine this kind of weird handoff where the Windows Phone guys said, "Oh, here's all the stuff we did and all the things that we learned. I mean, let us know if you have any questions." And then the door slammed in their face, and the Windows team went off and did their own thing and stopped asking questions. And it's too bad because those guys on the Windows Phone side went through a maturation process that the Windows guys should have learned from. And it doesn't appear that they did, not from the outside anyway.
Do you think the computer industry is in its awkward adolescence?
Jeez, it's 35 years old or something. I don't know what to say. I mean,
well, it's either that or senescence.
Well, if you think about it, actually, it's fair to say, by the way, in the 30 whatever year history of the PC or the personal computer market, obviously going from a command line interface to a GUI type interface is considered a big deal, or it was.
That was a jump.
But
it was
in today's terms, it's not a, if you could go back and look at something like an Apple IIe or a Lisa computer or a Commodore, like a Commodore PET computer, they aren't that different from computers today, right? I mean, as far as physically and all that. Obviously, the screens have gotten thinner and bigger and all that stuff, but it's a keyboard connected to a case, and it hasn't changed.
CPU, memory, disk, storage.
But these devices that we have now, phones and tablets, hybrid computers, which are really kind of a weird thing, they're like a transformer. They're very different.
It's a very new form factor.
Yeah.
Maybe a little awkward form factor.
Yeah. Well, so far Windows has proven itself to be pretty adept at making these changes. It changed.
Yes.
Well, it came into the world of GUIs. It changed.
Tell me, because I'm too old to remember, man. You're maybe too young to remember. But when we went from command line to GUI, it's my memory is this is great. I mean, there wasn't that resistance. It was like this is a lot easier way to use a computer.
You know what, though?
Is that not true?
There were, but no. And you can ask John Dvorak this. He probably wrote this column.
Yeah.
He would have written this column.
Yeah.
Which was this. Windows is cute. I can see why people like it.
Oh, I'm sure he
But
wrote
when I
that
need to get work done, I go back to DOS. I almost guarantee you he wrote a column.
Steve Gibson still uses Brief,
yeah, sure.
a command line text processor. 16-bit.
Well, we used to use. Remember, we had Terminate. What were they called? Terminate and stay. Damn it. What were they
TSRs, Terminate Stay Resident. Yeah. That's what Borland made. That's what Sidekick did, right?
Yeah, multiple DOS apps at the same time.
It would pop up on top of your WordPerfect.
Sure.
Yep.
So I guess I do remember this. I thought I forgot it all. But I do think that maybe that was me, because I remember looking at the Lisa, which was the first windowing computer I saw, and salivating and saying, this is the right way to go.
Yep.
Bitmapped screens were a huge jump forward. It was like going from black and white to color. Nobody said, oh, I don't want color. I mean, people did say
Actually,
that.
In this case, it was going from green to black and white. But I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people, admittedly, people said, well, it's difficult. If I want to get work done, I still want to be able to type, DIR. And
That was always the deal. Moving a cursor around with a mouse is not efficient. If you knew WordPerfect command codes, you were efficient.
Well, okay, so that's a good analogy because there were lots of people who continued to use, and Windows, this was an interesting dichotomy. Apple did what Microsoft's doing. Apple said, no, we're not going to give you keystroke commands. You have to use the mouse. And now they've gone back a little backslid on that. But in the early days,
Microsoft has always provided both.
And Microsoft made sure that you could keep your hands on the keyboard and never take it off.
That's what Windows 8 needs. It needs one of those cardboard keyboard covers that shows you where all the commands are.
Charms
That's
are here.
literally the problem with Windows 8. You have no idea what you're doing.
So Apple did the all-in thing, which said, no, you got to use the mouse. There is no way to get that menu to drop down with a keyboard. You must take your hands off the keyboard. Apple won in that case, I think, at least initially. Windows came back, but initially Apple won.
I mean, right.
And there were some ungainly things, like somebody's pointing out Alt F4. There were some ungainly things, keystrokes, that because you run out of keystrokes. These comparisons are never perfect. It is interesting that Apple had a very popular product at the time that was command line based, and when they did the Mac, it was completely different. Yep.
That's not the way Microsoft does things. Microsoft will always bring people forward, and so they go from a command line system, in this case, DOS.
Is that the mistake they made by not going all in? Look how much Mary Jo likes her RT, which was much more down that road.
Well, Microsoft was obviously very successful doing this.
Yes, I shouldn't say made a mistake.
But I'm not all in on my laptop and my desktop, right? I still run Windows 7 on both of those. And, I tell Paul this all the time. I don't use keyboard shortcuts. So for me, everybody's like, just use the keyboard shortcut. It'll be easy enough to use Metro. But if you don't know the keyboard shortcuts and you're not used to that,
and it's not built into your fingers,
it's not going to help you.
Yeah.
It's not discoverable.
No,
I have an interesting conundrum because I love this Acer S7 hardware. It's light, it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful machine, yeah.
I love it. And there isn't really, I'm not going to put Windows 7 on it because the touch won't work. I guess there's Linux Touch, but I'm a little nervous about what would happen there. I have to use Windows 8 because of the hardware.
Yep.
Sure.
So I'm in an interesting conundrum.
All I can say is the good news is
Blue's coming.
What?
Blue is coming. Oh, I'm sorry. That's
Blue's coming. No, but even Windows 8 today. I use a Windows 8 computer every single day, traditional PC, et cetera. I mean, I don't have any utilities on it right now that, get rid of the start screen or anything like that. It's fine, But that stuff is available if you want it. If you want to boot right to the desktop, they have utilities for that. If you want to get rid of the start menu, the start screen rather, and return a menu that looks like Windows 7 or doesn't, that stuff's available. It is all there. I mean, one of the nice things about the diversity of the PC market is that stuff exists. So you're not stuck with what they give you, and you can still run all of the Windows apps that are important to you while taking advantage of the, kind of the old way, if you will, or the current way, maybe we should call it, of doing things. You don't have to adopt the Metro stuff.
Leo, speaking of your Acer that you like so much, it was really interesting to see IDC's breakout of which of the PC vendors did better and worse in the quarter. You know who did the worst was Acer.
Acer, yeah.
And why do you think? Now, admittedly, this is an unusual product for Acer. They tend to do low-end, affordable stuff, and I don't think it does as well. I looked at the low-end Acer laptops; wasn't crazy about them. This is kind of an unusual, kind of high-priced product for them.
Yeah.
Who did the best? Lenovo.
Lenovo.
Yeah, not surprised. But that's also some of that is legacy, right? Because they have a history of being the one to get. And I looked at the Carbon Touch, the X1 Touch, and preferred this over that. And I think that could be just because people think of Acer as a budget solution.
Yeah. Right.
And
with their whole image so tied up in netbooks, right?
Right. Although I hear good things about the Yoga, so maybe that was a better way to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
For all the twistiness that the Yoga does in day-to-day use, the Yoga is just a traditional.
Right. When are you going to do that?
It really isn't as crazy as it seems.
The only negative on this Acer, as far as I can tell, is the keyboard is not great. But in every other respect, it's really quite nice. And what it was good because I reviewed the Chromebook Pixel, which is a similarly priced. Well, it was good that I had this Acer because it gave me a sense of, for the same amount of money, you can get something that's got better battery life, and
I can get something that makes me hate myself.
Well, I've had my finger hovered over the Star Dock button, the buy button, But because I know that I could put, these are the apps Paul recommends for kind of Windows desktoping.
Coping, as we call it.
Coping, turning Metro apps into Windows apps using a classic desktop and all that. And it's not expensive. There's a good company. I can get the full suite for I think $60.
Sure.
But I'm trying to live in this world. Trying to live in this world.
But then you discover you're like the ghost from Beetlejuice. You're not really in this world, and maybe maybe a change is required.
I just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break, come back with more, and Mary Jo Foley with some very, very bad news for iPad users. You just ruined my day, I must say, yesterday. Ruined it.
We have things to say about that.
Let's shoot the messenger, Leo.
Ruined. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's not her fault, is it? What am I thinking? All right, we'll shoot the messenger when we come back. But first, a word from Directory Wizards. We all have this issue, in business anyway, it's an enterprise issue, where you've got a messaging forest, as Directory Wizards call it, where you've got all kinds of databases, Active Directory, maybe you've got Open LDAP, Oracle, Novell, Lotus Notes, and Domino. You've got GroupWise. And you're trying to merge all this stuff together into a truly unified GAL. How hard could that be? Well, it turns out a little bit hard, but that's why Directory Wizards has Unity Sync. What a great idea. Supports all of the above. Can scale from small directories with hundreds of objects to enterprise-sized directories with hundreds of thousands of objects. You're not going to need extensive training or installation and configuration time. In fact, if you go right now to derwiz.com/Windows, you'll be up and running before the day's over. By close of business, by COB today, you can be using Unity Sync. And a fully functional evaluation copy's awaiting for you. Look at the connection types. I just scratched the surface. I mean, it's got everything. Everything in here. Really sweet. You know what? If you want to know more about this, if you're trying to manage multiple directories, just check it out. Directory Wizards, derwiz.com/Windows. You can get that extended directory right now. It's web-based user interface. It's intuitive. It's friendly. You don't have to script. You don't have to program. You don't need an additional database. It's all in Unity Sync. Full or partial directory synchronization affecting all available or just a few attributes. So you can pull in just the stuff you need if you need it. Highly configurable. Great solution. Unity Sync from Directory Wizards. derwiz.com/Windows. Get your free eval copy right now. And we thank them so much for supporting Windows Weekly. I love seeing these enterprise companies coming in to support Windows Weekly. That's fantastic.
Yay.
Yay.
Derwin was the name of the husband on Bewitched.
Derwin. No, that's just what his evil mother-in-law witch called him.
Right.
Derwood.
Yeah.
I think it was Darren. There were two Darrens, not Durwood. So Mary Jo Foley says, and everybody's quoting you. You got a scoop on this, I believe. There's a little delay in Office for iOS. Is that true?
A little one.
This is one of these stories where I actually hope my story is wrong.
Yeah, me too. But I bet it's not.
So here's the deal. I got to see a roadmap for the next 2 years of Office, basically.
Yeah.
And I believe this is a real roadmap. Microsoft's not saying it is or isn't. They're not commenting on it. But it looks very real to me, and it seems very believable. All the things that we've heard about with Gemini, which is the next version of Office, are all on the roadmap. But the two things that are disheartening is Outlook RT, supposedly not till fall of 2014, and Office for iOS and Android, also not till fall of 2014. So I really hope this is an early roadmap or there's some mistake here. And I really hope those two things are much sooner than that. But that's what the roadmap said that I saw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a trusted source, a reliable entity, so it's believable. And you looked at the roadmap and it said trademark, Microsoft, copyright, do not distribute or you will die, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do not show any slides.
Do not show.
I do have a theory about this. If this is true, which I also hope is not true, and the theory is given a little more poignancy about what just happened with the PC sales announcement. But it's believable that Microsoft internally has been struggling with this decision about whether to support third-party platforms.
I'm
with
sure there are people
Office.
inside arguing, no, you'll kill RT.
And so you can almost imagine a compromise where they said, okay, you can do it, but you got to let Windows 8 come out and establish itself before you do it. Because otherwise, I mean, imagine how horrible it would have been if Windows 8 and Office shipped on the same day, which I think was the original plan, right? The same quarter they were supposed to basically ship together at one point. And Office came out on the iPad as well. I mean, who would have bought a Windows 8 or RT tablet at that point when they could have gotten Office for the iPad, especially given the expense and low quality of those devices for the most part? I mean, maybe Surface RT being the big exception to that. That could have killed this whole thing right in the cradle. It's a terrible term, whatever. But, that could have made the little mini apocalypse we're seeing with PC sales now even worse.
Could have exploded on the launch pad.
There you go.
It could have
awful.
It could have flopped on the ski jump.
Could have thrown up into its own mouth. I'm going to win this one, Leo.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
won.
you are.
Yeah, I'm giving up right now. Yeah.
I'm not even trying to one-up you.
Yeah.
Here. Not on that. Yeah, because, if you look at the roadmap and what it says is going to come before Office for iOS and Android, they've got the Windows Blue app. So those are the Metro-style versions of Word, Excel, PowerPoint that are going to supposedly be this year. And then a whole refresh on Office RT. So that's the desktop version, I think, that's going to get refreshed before Office for iOS and Android. So they definitely, if this roadmap is still correct, I think they're really trying to protect their own Windows assets, which you can't totally blame them for doing.
Their own Windows asses? Is that
Protect your assets. Protect your assets.
I did not say what you think I just
said. Yeah. Cover your assets.
Cover your assets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no, it makes perfect sense, but it's a little disappointing, of course.
It is. And, it's also disappointing because as part of the whole Gemini premises, it's not just about Microsoft doing Metro-style apps. It's also about the Office team becoming more of a cross-platform team. So that when I heard that was part of the Gemini mission, I was like, okay, maybe they are going to come out more quickly than we thought with Office for iOS and Android because, that these may not be the fully featured versions that you get on Windows. They probably won't be, but I still thought they were going to come out sooner than fall of 2014 with cross-platform support.
Yeah.
I mean, right now you can get some cross-platform support with the Office web apps. You can use them in Safari.
The OneNote in particular.
Right. But it's definitely
there's VM solutions from other third parties that will let you use it.
Yeah, but that's
not a very good solution because it's not customized for touch. Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess what it tells iOS users is, if you're in the Microsoft world, you should live in a Microsoft device.
Sure.
Yeah.
The risk is that people will go, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I don't need to live in a Microsoft world.
That's
thanks.
fine. I got Pages or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, uninstalling and reinstalling OneNote Metro worked.
Yay.
Right, until next week. When it doesn't sync, Just
We'll
do
do
it
that
every
every
week before
week.
the show.
We'll see. That didn't work.
The other cool thing on this roadmap that a lot of people didn't talk about this week, but I thought was very interesting, and I'm curious what it really means is in April 2014, it also says Microsoft will do something with Office for a perceptive pixel.
Right.
The big screen.
The big multi-touch screen.
80-inch screen.
Yeah. So, I'm curious what that means. Like, would they come out with a special or custom
I know exactly
version?
what it means.
As you can see in
Giant
my Word
icons.
document.
Right.
Let me scroll
In this document, this document is a map of the world where 1 foot equals 1 foot.
Real actual size. No, but PowerPoint would be the obvious application for a pixel perfect, right? So
Or Link. How about Link? That would be pretty cool.
I like that. That's their video conferencing app.
Video wall. Yep. This is Asimov territory.
Video wall. That's good. I like that.
Yep.
See, you cheered me up now.
Okay, good.
All I need to do is buy a big ass screen, and I'm set. Yeah. How much are those? How much are those 82-inch pixel perfect?
I think like 10
they're
grand.
expensive right now.
Can I watch TV on it?
Yeah, but it's only in a little window.
A tile about this.
Like an 11-inch screen.
Just what I want.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones PowerPoint presentation. Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
You know, that's good.
Yeah. So to sum up, hope the story's wrong, fear that it's right, but yeah, let's all hope it's wrong. Or let's all hope that now that the roadmap's out and everyone's screaming, that maybe it'll change the roadmap.
That's what we were talking about earlier. It's like now they're going to want to prove Mary Jo wrong and just ship it early just to make her look bad, which would be great. You know, not not on that
but
note.
You know what?
I mean,
we should say about the Office team. They're one of those teams that tend to ship earlier than their schedule indicates, right? Like these are usually worst case dates, and they like to come out and say, "Hey, we shipped early," right?
The thing is, the reason I actually find this to be very plausible is because all you have to do is look back at Office 2013 and how long that thing was in development. It was really like 2 years. We had versions of Office very, very early on. And I know the guys inside Office was just talking about this recently. You know, they've been working with it internally for years. This notion of a 2-year wave of updates is so plausible from the Office team. I mean,
they could do it. You're saying
they're the group that would plot it out like this.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
But they also they're like Windows. They're trying to get into this more rapid cadence, right? So that's why this is also a little discouraging. It's like, come on, guys. Like, is it still going to take you 2 years to do this, or could you do it quicker?
But I think you nailed it. It's marketing. It's not technology. It's about market.
Yeah, I mean, Outlook
markets.
RT exists. We talked about this last week. Paul saw it on people's.
Okay, it's done. Probably
it's done.
Yeah.
It may not be perfect.
I've heard
but
various reasons for why it's not out. You know, ranging from battery life issues to some kind of a weird firmware problem with ARM that
never
triggers
happens.
some kind of crash.
Never happens.
Yeah.
I'm being sarcastic.
Well,
because we've heard of those kinds of problems before with that.
How awful would it be if Outlook RT came out, but it only worked on the next generation chipset machines?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
I mean, how instantly orphaning would that be?
That can't even be possible, can it?
I know. I just
next generation of ARM, not next generation of Intel, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it is, and also, as you know, and the reason Mary Jo floats this theory is because it happens all the time at Microsoft. You have these infighting groups, and everybody's protecting their turf, and it is not at all unusual for Microsoft to make decisions about products for those kinds of reasons as opposed to technical reasons.
The very phrase "Microsoft makes a decision" is so. It's not like they're a Cylon with a
Microsoft making a decision.
Or no, not the Cylons. What was that thing?
Yeah, no, the Cylons. There's one mind. Borg.
Yeah,
same thing.
the
Cylons
Borg.
is the same thing. They all know what's going on with all of them. They could have used a Cylon Bill Gates, though. That would have been handy. Handy. You, Paul, had a big scoop, which everybody from The Verge on up quoted. That
I was really uncomfortable with this.
Why?
You
hinted about it last week.
Yeah, I didn't mean for this to happen. I mean,
What do you? It's not up to you. You're merely the messenger. Remember?
I know. But it's weird being the focus of that thing. By the way, the disappointing aspect of this is that this was quoted everywhere from Times, CNN, MSNBC, down to every little tech blog on earth. Not one of those goons ever contacted me. Not one of them.
That's
not
interesting.
ever.
At least The Verge gave you credit.
Yeah, that's always nice to see. So I appreciate it. That's a step up. But why
would you? What would you have told them? Here, let's do this.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul, this is Joshua Topolsky over at The Verge. Nice to talk to you.
Well, see, I can't say what I would have told them, but it depends on who it was and what the questions were. But certainly people that I know could have gotten some information that I hadn't divulged otherwise, or something like that. It pays to chat occasionally.
Joshua's a friend, great guy. I'll talk to him. I'll say, Joshua. Next time, call Paul.
Anyway, but I don't remember when this issue broke, but there was that guy from Microsoft, Andrew
Adam
Orth.
Orth.
Adam Orth, the tweeter.
Yeah, and
the ex-Microsofty, by the way, we
my
might add.
initial reaction, now apparently ex-Microsoft.
Now ex.
My initial reaction to that was very different from most people's, in that I felt like this guy got berated, almost bullied, for his comments, which I found to be actually, I mean,
It was refreshing. All this does is make Microsoft lock it down more.
Yeah.
Right?
It was depressing how that all played out.
Because he was telling the truth. He was berating people, but
my problem, and this is, by the way, this is yet another indication of my early onset dementia is, you know,
you and me both.
I have so much information that comes by me, and I write so much that I have trouble remembering things, you know. So people would ask me, hey, you know, have you heard anything about this always on thing? You seem to have some Xbox information, you know. And I'd be like, no, I don't, that doesn't sound familiar at all. And then, or they'd ask me some other question. What do you think about this? Or what do you think about this? And then they would point me to some article that I wrote, you know, 6 months ago, where it's like, oh yeah. I completely forgot about it. But I went back and looked over my notes from what I do know about the next Xbox. And sure enough, there was a line. It needs an always-on internet connection. And
by the way, Adam has now locked his tweets down.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know, nobody's gonna find out what he thinks anymore. He doesn't look happy though. I mean, that's like
no.
I got fired.
Yeah, if this was 400 years ago, he'd be on a wooden stake somewhere. But I guess my central issue with all this stuff is not trying to dissect what this means by always on, because we don't even know what that means. Is that we don't know what this means, and so we have an event coming in May. We have Build coming up. We've got E3, of course. So we've got 3 Microsoft events where they're going to talk about the next Xbox. Just wait. You know, just wait.
Just for those who didn't follow this, what happened? You said that you had seen that Xbox would have this always-on feature, right?
Well, that's not how it started. No,
okay,
no. There have been rumors about this always-on thing.
Yeah. And
he kind of responded to some of them on Twitter in a way that I think basically implicitly acknowledged that Microsoft was in fact planning to have some kind of an instant on. I'm sorry, not instant on, always on.
It was an exchange with a friend. It wasn't, you know. But you got to remember, right. Twitter is public.
Right. And so he used a hashtag that basically said, "Deal with it."
Ooh.
And I've made this argument, like for example. You know, my Roku box requires an always-on connection. I don't recall that, you know, triggering any agony on anyone's part. I mean, it makes sense that a device that is connected to online services would need to be connected to the internet.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
But we don't know what it means. That's the central issue here is always-on. Does that mean a little heartbeat that comes occasionally?
Well, of course, the concern is in the aftermath of the Sim City having to, even though it's a single-player game, always connect to the Origin servers as a copy protection mode. So the presumption is, there's going to be copy protection.
Yeah, people have made the leap right into DRM.
Right.
So I guess once it gets to that point, my argument is, you know what? We actually don't know.
Let's find out.
Yeah, that was my whole. That was my whole.
Yeah. And not an unreasonable thing to say.
So, yeah, I got to learn just to shut up and let these things. You know, it was stupid. I should never have gotten involved with that. But what I do have,
there's more. Go ahead.
I'm going to throw some of these by you guys because I did have someone contact me recently who claims to be a Microsoft insider. I don't know who he is. I don't. You know, this is an unverified source who sent me a lot of information and wanted me to publish this very quickly. And
don't go for it. Don't fall for it.
Well, except that I didn't because some of this stuff corresponds with stuff I know. Some of it is completely wrong based on what I know. And some of it I've been trying to verify, but I haven't. But I've been seeing these things appear all like this week on the web. He basically went to other blogs and gave them the same information. And these other blogs are publishing this stuff every single day. And so I'm not saying that this stuff is not true. In fact, I'm sure a lot of it, and I know some of it is actually. But it's really interesting to see some of this stuff appear on the internet from other people. And I don't want to name names or anything like that, but I'll throw a few by you that you may have seen this week. And then also a few that you may see later this week based on based on this kind of stuff. So, for example, this notion that the next Xbox is going to have DVR capabilities so that it can interact with your television, or that there will be 2 versions of it, which I've heard is not happening this round, claiming that there will be $500 and $300 respectively, which are interesting price points because I've heard things like that, but not for two different products, I guess. This is one I've seen somewhere, a new Forza game that has super lifelike graphics, and a game called Rice, set in the Roman Empire times. Very bloody hack and slash type game. A family-oriented Kinect-only game, lots of shooters, etc., that kind of thing. I've seen someone has written stories about that. Gold family memberships will only cost the same as a single gold membership. You may recall that they recently got rid of the family membership on Xbox Live Gold. I saw someone mention that Microsoft is finally moving to currency for cards and payment on Xbox Live instead of using Microsoft points, which is someone has published a story about that. And I think we know, looking at Windows and Windows Phone, that they are in fact moving to that kind of a system. He says there's no date for the launch for the next Xbox, but definitely this fall. And I've been told first week of November. And then, here's an interesting one. Surprisingly, they're not planning on cutting the price of the Xbox 360. They're trying to milk profit from the current generation. We'll see if they hold to this. And I've heard that there's going to be a low-cost Xbox 360, very low cost. So it's interesting. And then there's stuff in here about Windows Blue, Windows Phone, Surface. Lots of rumors about smaller Surfi or whatever we're calling them and things like that. But the point here is that some of this stuff corresponds to what I know. Some of it isn't directly wrong based on what I know, and then there's a bunch of stuff that I just don't know anything about. And so a lot of it sounds really plausible, but it's interesting to me that it seems, looking out at what I'm seeing in the blogosphere, people are just publishing this information as if it were a fact. And it's kind of a dangerous trend. And I've seen a lot of it this week, a lot of it directly from this email. So I just wish people would be a little more careful with stuff, I guess.
Makes sense.
Yeah, like there was a 1080p story for Windows Phone. That's kind of interesting because it's really plausible. It makes a lot of sense. I think Mary Jo wrote a blog post today, maybe even about this notion of very big phones and very small tablets, right? I've heard a rumor, not from this guy, but from someone else, that Nokia was working on what they called a phablet, which would fall into this category, a 5, maybe even a 6-inch phone, like not a tablet, but a phone, and then, of course, there are lots of rumors about Nokia making a tablet.
What about a mini Surface?
Yeah. So I think Mary Jo...
That would solve that. That's what I want, a mini Surface with phone capabilities.
Yeah. Well, so this week, the Wall Street Journal ran a story saying they believe Microsoft's going to have a 7-inch Surface coming this year. And it's really interesting because Paul, I think it was the one who had said he had heard an 8-inch Surface.
Yep.
So I wonder if it might be 7.9 or whatever, something like kind of in between.
Yeah.
The iPad Mini is not actually 7 inches; it's 7.9 inches.
Yep.
Right. It's good size.
So yeah,
It's a perfect size.
Yeah, we've heard rumors about a mini Surface before, and in fact, I had heard if and when they did this, they might even brand it as an Xbox Surface, because it would be more of like a media consumption tablet, and maybe it wouldn't have Office on it.
Please, I beg of you. That's a terrible
an Xbox with Office on it. I'm listening.
Yeah. Not an Xbox.
There's only one person in the world who'd be interested in that, and he's sitting there right now.
No, not.
I could play Call of Duty and work on my spreadsheets. Yes.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be an Xbox. It would be.
Well, then don't name it Xbox. That's
use
a
the
mistake.
Xbox brand.
Yeah, but see, now I know Microsoft would love the Xbox brand everywhere.
They would.
But I got to tell you, as a normal person, it's so tightly associated with gaming that it's just not going to. You can't get out of that.
I would say it's so tightly associated with gaming that even the notion of getting entertainment on a device that is in fact an Xbox game console is a little tough.
How many people outside of Series Xbox users even know it's a media center?
Right.
Well, I think that's the audience they would be going for, right? It would be Xbox users, people who have the gaming console, who might be interested in a tablet, but they don't necessarily want to play games on it, like something to watch Netflix on, or maybe use as your smart glass plus other things kind of a device. I'm just telling you like what the rumors are out there. I keep hearing Xbox Surface. I don't know.
As far as I can tell, to this moment, Smart Glass has only one reason to live, and that is so you can watch Game of Thrones and figure out what the heck is going on, because it will tell you who all the characters are. But I mean, aside from that,
By the way, there's an iPad app that does that too.
Yeah, I mean, I have yet to see. I mean, it's use your tablet as a gigantic remote for Xbox Music. You know, like I am actually one of the few people on earth who would ever do something like that. But even doing it, I feel a little dirty. Like this is not a normal thing to, like people just don't do this.
I feel dirty.
You know what I mean?
Lannisters. Wait a minute.
I would do this in the comfort of my own home, but let's just say the shades are going to be
That's her brother. Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, it's useful for that.
Yep.
Incest is so complicated these days.
Right. Especially in this fantasy past.
This is the most bizarre, I tell you. And it's getting worse, I mean, it's more complicated than it used to be.
Yeah. Well, try reading the books if you want to blow your mind.
That's the funny thing is I did, and I still don't know what the hell's going on.
Yep.
I still have to look it up on my Surface. On my second screen.
Two books I've ever read that are harder than this. One was The Silmarillion by Tolkien, obviously.
Yeah.
And the other one was that Hawking's book, the theory of
A Brief History of Time. I read the illustrated edition of that. It made it much easier.
Well, I remember. Yeah. So remember, he came out with a simpler version a few years later, and I thought, okay,
highly
here's
recommended.
finally something I can read as a layman. And I couldn't even get through that.
Wow.
And So I thank you. I feel stupid.
I looked at the pictures, Paul. Maybe your mistake was trying to read it.
Yeah.
Just look at the picture. Oh, pretty. Relativity is pretty. Very pretty. All right, we're going to talk about WAAD going GA in a moment, whatever the hell that means. But I know
of the week.
you enterprise.
I got your WAAD all over my God.
You got my God and my WAAD. Well, it's two great tastes in one wonderful enterprise solution. But first, a word, speaking of enterprise, from our good friends at Rackspace. This is actually a good time to talk about this. Because the idea, of Rackspace is we're open. So don't go with a proprietary cloud. Rackspace is the open cloud provider. There are, we shall not name names, proprietary solutions. But what that does is, of course, lock you in, and that's why providers like proprietary. But what you want, I would submit, is an open cloud, built on open standards that lets you move your websites, your apps, your code between multiple open stack-based clouds. Public, private, on-premise, hosted, doesn't matter. That's why Rackspace co-founded OpenStack with NASA. This is rocket science. And now runs the world's largest open cloud. The world's largest open cloud. You're not locked into one provider. You can move around, but I can tell you right now, you're going to love Rackspace's world-renowned fanatical support. They're a great company, and they're not locking you in. They know, hey, try us. You'll like it. And I love it when we have advertisers, and we have a number of them like that, who are so confident they just say, look, we don't need to lock in. We just provide great service, great support, and we know you'll be happy. You want to try it? Rackspace.com/open. It's free. It's open. It's there waiting for you. Rackspace.com/open. The open cloud company. We thank them so much for supporting our Windows Weekly program with Mary Jo Foley and WAAD. All right. First of all, you better recap what WAAD and GA are.
I know, right?
This sounds like the Silmarillion right there.
So as Windows Weekly listeners know all too well, WAAD is Windows Azure Active Directory. So if you know what Active Directory is in Windows Server, WAAD is basically the cloud complement of that. And WAAD is the directory service that Microsoft uses already for Office 365 and for Windows Intune and a number of its other products. So WAAD going GA this week was WAAD goes general availability. So up till now, it's only been in test form. So people who wanted to do their actual deployments on it felt, I don't know, it's still a test product. Should I do that? But as of this week, it's considered GA. So now go ahead and you can feel confident in implementing your WAAD. The other reason I wanted to talk about this was one of the announcements Microsoft made this week at the Microsoft Management Conference, which was out in Las Vegas. And I was picking up some hints, even though I didn't go to Vegas this week, that this is just one of the very first of the Azure services that's in test right now that's about to go GA. I think we might hear, maybe even as soon as next week, the week of April 15th, that Microsoft's also going to take the Linux and the Windows Server virtual machines that they've been testing for close to a year, GA also. And I know a lot of people are waiting for those because they want to be able to take their existing apps and just put them on Windows Server or put them on Linux in the Azure cloud. So this is going to be what makes Microsoft a little more like Amazon or Rackspace or one of these other companies that do infrastructure as a service kinds of offerings in the cloud, and not just a platform where you build brand new apps and put them in the cloud. So next week could be a big one.
That's
again,
exciting.
for Azure. It is actually.
Yeah. General availability.
General availability.
For Windows, Azure, Acme, thing. Never mind. Yay. And when was the day? Did it happen? The transition? What day is today? It's the 11th, right?
Right.
How do you feel? Are you feeling good? You feeling
so
positive?
We're talking about the Messenger, Microsoft shutting off Messenger.
Oh,
but guess
that
what?
happened a long time ago. It's fine.
They haven't done it yet
What?
for many people. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I keep getting mail all this week. Everybody's like, so I guess they decided to postpone it, huh? They're not doing it. But they are.
It's supposed to be the 9th?
8th, I think,
8th?
right? Yeah. Monday.
It started. Yeah.
Maybe they're
It's
flipping them off one by one.
They are.
Like
one
a
of the
sniper.
10 million at a time.
Has anybody
so-
reported that they've lost messenger connectivity?
I haven't found anybody who has.
Right. You have to hear anyone report they ever use Messenger. But
Maybe that's the problem. Nobody even knows.
Hey,
Yeah.
come on. There's lots of us, including Alex at Twit there.
No, I like
Well, including
Messenger.
me.
I used to, because again, I use it because Canadians used it.
Is that why?
No, it's huge. It's when AIM was number one here, and I don't think it's AIM is number one anymore anywhere, but when it was number one here, it was Messenger that was number one in Canada. And that just shows you these networks, because it's hard, Trillion and cross-platform's hard, so people go where their friends are. I bet you Facebook is dominant right now.
Yep.
And with Facebook Home, it's just going to get more dominant. Messenger is still huge outside the U.S., says Steve
It is.
B. Yeah.
It is.
So it's just so we wouldn't notice. Well, okay, I'm asking you, China, Japan, Canada, Indonesia, how's it going? Is it still on? Steve B says it's a verb in some countries. They say, "I'll MSN you." That I don't believe.
I'm gonna mess all over
I'm
you.
missing you. I ain't missing you at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did hear some people, though, saying they were having some problem seeing this week when they were still using Messenger. They couldn't see their Facebook chat buddies. But then I had other people saying, nah, it was a temporary glitch, and now I can see them. So the transition's happening. I just think it's going maybe a little slower than we thought. But it's supposed to be done by the end of this month. Skype says that's still the plan.
Still the plan. Well, in honor of that, I had a fun experience. I decided I'm going to beef up my Skype. I'm going to get a Skype phone number, an actual landline number. I'm going to get Skype Premium. I'm going to do it all.
Right.
So here's a funny thing. If you're paying with credit card, Skype Premium is something like $12 a month, or a real deal, you buy a year, it's $60 cheap. So I'm not going to buy it. I think it was $10 a month. So half as much. If you buy a year plan. But if you're buying with Skype credits and you're paying for the Skype credits with a credit card, you can only buy $10 of credit at a time.
Mm.
So that's going to be fixed, but when they go to Microsoft points.
If you want to buy a yearly plan. So here's what I did. I bought 6 times. I bought $10 worth of credit.
Wow.
It was the most pain in the ass thing ever. The other option is you can do it with PayPal, because PayPal is a $100 a month limit.
Right.
But credit cards is $60 a month. I was lucky because I had a couple of bucks in there, so I was able to buy a Skype yearly plan. It was the most painful thing in the world. That was like, we don't want you to buy the yearly plan. Please buy the monthly plan. It's twice as much.
This may be a coincidence, but I found that since Microsoft has added PayPal as a payment option, both in Windows, like Windows 8 RT, and also Windows Phone, that I have a greater success rate of paying with things with PayPal.
They want you to pay with PayPal.
Yeah,
Why is that?
Meaning that a lot of times, especially with my debit card, I think when a 99-cent thing comes through, It almost looks suspicious.
Yeah, it's the micropayment
So
thing.
it actually says, sorry, cannot process this payment at
That's
this
what
time.
it is. I think you're right.
It might be because I only have 98 cents in my bank account. But
No. We have the same
but then
problem.
You go to PayPal and it works.
They will turn off your credit card like that. We have that problem all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And,
all the
and
time.
so that may be it, that really what they want, the kinds of things they do, in fact, give you a higher limit on PayPal, and you can do more micropayments. So I did. I didn't want to buy it on PayPal. I 6 times. I added $10 6 times, and then it said, "Oh no, you can't add any more." It was so painful.
6 is the limit, Leo. You didn't know that?
It is. It's actually the limit with a credit card. So anyway, the reason I didn't want to use PayPal is more a technical one. I didn't have my PayPal dongle with me. Somebody had forked me and took the dongle. Lisa has it, actually. She has my dongle. And my heart.
That's what we've heard.
She's got it in a glass case.
right
Very small. Yeah, right on her desk. Anyway, why every time? So anyway, but I do now have. I'm all in on Skype. I keep it open all the time. Yeah. And then of course there was the Skype virus that steals money from your Bitcoin.
Yikes.
And people are saying don't leave it open all the time, whatever you do.
How do you get what?
Huh? Well,
it's really secure when it's not running, Leo.
That's right. It's more secure that way. No, it turns out you should, and I think I did this anyway. You should never accept Skype calls from somebody you don't know. You should always set your privacy settings that only your contacts can call you, and you should not just add anybody willy-nilly because it's a little less secure that way. But I'm looking at it right now. There it is, Skype on my desktop running.
You're not using the Metro version, I assume.
No, on your advice, I no longer use the Metro version. It's confusing. I've got 2 icons. It's very
actually the best part about Skype. I don't know if you've experienced this yet, but now when you guys call or I get any Skype call, 3 of the phones in my office start trying to answer the Skype call even after I've answered
They're
it.
all ringing. Well, I had that with Google Voice. But my Google Voice broke. Somebody named Ken has been answering my Google Voice number. So I'm sorry, Ken, whoever you are, and I don't know why you have my number, but there's some cross-wired in the wire closet or something. But Skype, I have now a 707 area code. So just so you guys know, you want to message me. We could chat back and forth during the week.
Chat.
I'm Chief Twit on Skype.
Oh, you know how many people are going to add you right now?
No, because I just say no.
Okay.
Right.
Don't even bother. I only add people I like. I mean, that's not right.
Wow.
I had a lot of
I'll
people I
take that
don't
in mind.
like. I only add people I know.
I'm going to try to add you right now.
Oh, good. Let's see. This will be fun.
See if it works. Let's see if it can be
I
done.
should get a contact request,
Is it
right?
Chief Twit 2 words?
1 word.
1 word.
I should not have said that out loud.
You should not have.
No, that's all right.
Oh, yeah, like you.
But Skype's interesting. No, okay, here's the other thing. I have a Skype account tied to my Outlook, and apparently I thought it was this one. That's a confusing thing, Paul. Just am I wrong?
Listen, please don't get me started.
Okay.
There is a weirdness too. You can have Skype, Facebook, and Messenger all logged in at the same time through Skype.
Yeah.
But the way you do it is sort of basically different for each account. It's very strange.
Well, I don't see, for instance,
I hope this gets better.
I'm pretty sure the Outlook account was tied to this same account.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see all the contacts when I'm in the... I don't know what to do. Oh, Paul Thurrott. Yes, I would like to... Let's see, block, ignore, view profile, or add to... Oh, I clicked the wrong one! Just as I was clicking you, some guy named Colin, I added Colin. Oh, now how do I get rid of him?
This happens to me on Twitter every once in a while.
Oh, wait a minute. It's okay. He's a Microsoft regional director. I could probably add him.
Yeah, that's fine.
From Canada.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I know him.
You do know him?
Yep.
All right. Let's go back. More requests. They're coming in. They're pouring in. Mary Jo Foley, add to contacts. Okay, I'm going to be really careful. Click that. Okay, good. I've added you.
Hey, I see you.
Yay. So now we can message each other, even if Messenger goes down someday. Apparently,
this is a Skype. You know what's really strange? Oh, no, I see. You put in a message. Never mind. I get it.
Yeah. When my message is, I think, one love.
Yeah.
Because
No, I was
I'm a
gonna say, I was
reggae
just going to
guy.
say, so it's like this guy's on Messenger, this guy's on Facebook, this guy's on Messenger,
confusing.
and Leo is on One Love. I've not heard of this. Is this a Chinese instant messaging network? What is that?
People are now, and then people are begging. They're going, but you know me, Leo. You do. You know me. It's okay. Please add me.
Get a million requests.
I don't mind. I get them all the time. That's fine. Because you can guess. You can guess my Skype handle. I have a private Skype handle that we use for these shows and stuff like that. So it's not the same one. Because otherwise, I wouldn't be able to work. It would be too difficult. But I can ignore you guys easily. So moving along. Moving right along. Oh crap. So it doesn't scroll unless you're in the pane.
Oh.
When
What are we talking about?
OneNote. OneNote.
Oh, you want to scroll the text?
Yeah, you have to be in the
select
right
the
kind of
text.
mode to do it.
Because
Yeah.
it's a block.
It's a block. All right, we're going to come back with our picks of the week, our tip of the week, our enterprise pick of the week, code name, and yes, beer. Oh, I like this. I like this. And you can save your Audible pick, Paul, because we don't have an Audible today. But
Okay.
Yeah, good choice. Really good choice. In fact, I think you might have recommended this before, because I'm pretty sure I read it
definitely
because
did.
you said something
No, I
about
did.
it.
I
Yeah.
definitely did.
Yeah.
And this is an
And now we're teasing people. That's mean. Our show today brought to you by Squarespace.com. If you are ready to make your own website, if you are ready to take over the world with a photo blog or a portfolio, maybe you've got something you want to sell. You ever think of that? A little e-commerce? I want you to visit Squarespace.com. Yes, they've added e-commerce. This is fantastic. Everything you need to create an exceptional website at Squarespace.com. Now, let me explain what Squarespace is. It's hosting plus content management software. So you get everything that you need for a website. I mean everything. When you register for a year domain, which is, by the way, the most affordable price, they'll even get you for free the domain registry, your custom domain. They'll hook it all up for you. They've got templates that are just gorgeous, but you're not stuck with them. They're just a starting point, and it's very easy to modify the template to make it work for you. The other thing that's great about these new templates is they're all mobile responsive. That means your site looks great on any device. For everything from an iPhone, tiny iPhone screen to a giant pixel perfect display, it will look good on an 82-inch display. Very easy to create content. Of course, if you're going to set up a website, you want to make it easy to create content there, because otherwise it just kind of languishes. And now I got to show you the e-commerce solution is so fantastic. So first of all, let me just say, you don't need a credit card. You don't need a special offer code or anything to try it. Just click that Get Started button. But if you decide you want to buy after 2 weeks free, and by the way, when I say 2 weeks free, you can import all your existing content so you can really see what it would look like. Look at these prices. The basic plan, these are all annual prices. A couple bucks more a month if you don't go annual. And you can go month to month. The basic plan is $8 a month. Unlimited plan, $16 a month. And now you add e-commerce for another $8 a month for $24 a month. Fully integrated e-commerce. Unlimited physical products, unlimited digital products. They set up a merchant account for you. Squarespace takes no cut. This is it, $24 a month for your mobile store. That includes inventory tracking. They do taxation, so you could figure out the sales tax in every jurisdiction. They even will help you with shipping and coupon controls. And you get the usual unlimited pages, galleries, blogs, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited storage, unlimited contributors, complete mobile responsive design on all of their stores. The commerce solution works with every one of their templates. The best help system ever, including forums, trainings, workshops. This is such a great host. You got to find out more. Go to squarespace.com. Get started free. If you decide after a couple of weeks, you say, yeah, this might be right for me, use our offer code Windows4. That's Windows and the number 4, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase on new accounts. Squarespace.com, offer code Windows4 for new accounts for 10% off. That is an amazing deal. I just love it. You will too. Squarespace.com. Paul Thurrott, Mary Jo Foley, we're talking Windows, Microsoft, and Paul is ready with his tip of the week.
This is a quickie one. I use Office 2013 now, and the two tools that I use most frequently are Word and OneNote, and I love both of them. But in this version, OneNote has this tool that kind of pops up. It's like a little utility window called the Send to OneNote tool, and it's pretty useful if you need this stuff. It provides access to screen clipping, Send to OneNote, and new Quick Note functions. Honestly, I believe that this exists for tablets because they're like these giant tiles, that to me just have no place on my desktop. And I've gone into Task Manager and prevented this thing from running, but it still pops up. There's even a little checkbox that says Start with OneNote. You can uncheck that and close it. It still comes back. It drives me crazy. And I was talking about this recently, and somebody said, you can actually disable this thing really easily, and you can.
Thank God, because this pop-up, like you, it drives me nuts.
Now, some people need this or want it. I mean, it disables the shortcut keys for screen clipping, for example. So, let me make sure.
So you might want that.
Yeah, you may want it, but this little UI, it drives me nuts personally. And if you don't like it,
it's always in my taskbar.
It's really right. It's easy to turn off. So just go into OneNote options, display, and then the top option says place OneNote icon in the notification area of the taskbar. And just
do you do that? Do you do that in the? It's OneNote desktop, obviously,
yes.
Not OneNote Metro. It doesn't make any difference.
I hate that thing. I just hate it. So you can kill it.
Hey, I just saw you can optimize it for touch. There's a touch mouse mode menu item.
Yeah, you don't
spread stuff out.
It just
It helps a tiny.
Oh,
bit.
yeah, I see. So you may want that because you're touching the screen.
Yeah, because I'm touching myself.
The only problem I have with that is that applies across Office. So sometimes I'll enable that, and it's like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then you go into Word, and it's like, like, like what happened here?
But I do complain often about the very small touch targets in Excel, particularly.
Oh, then this makes a big difference.
Yeah. Oh, now something happened. I don't know what's going on. It suddenly snapped to the right, and I don't know. Yeah.
You could drag that over and
just
close it.
All right. I'll look in the options next. Someday. Next, your tool of the week. Oh, there it went back. It came back.
So the software pick of the week is Nokia Music, which was just released for Windows 8 and Windows RT. This is an app that previously existed, still exists, obviously, on Windows Phone. There are a lot of music services now, and it's getting really hard to kind of choose between them. And I'm going to try to do a write-up soon comparing them all because it's just confusing. Some of them are very basic internet radio type services like Pandora. Some of them offer cloud collections and ways to download things for offline use and so forth. It's very complicated. The way to think about Nokia Music is that you can pay for a plus version. It's $3.99 a month, which is very inexpensive. And what it provides you with is basically the equivalent of something like Pandora, where you can make internet radio stations based on groups that you like. It actually has a little bit more along the way of configuring those mixes and how you make them and so forth. But the additional benefit is it provides for offline use. So you can actually download the mixes to the device. And so on a Windows 8 or RT device, that might mean you can take it with you on a plane, go on a trip, and still have access to those radio stations. If you're using a Windows Phone handset and you listen to these things in the car, it means that you can play them without accessing your cellular connection and going against your monthly limit. So some really interesting capability there, and it's going to be improving over time too, I was told. So more to come. But now that this thing is available on Windows as well as Windows Phone, it suddenly becomes kind of a much bigger deal. And the only caveat, I guess, is that for right now, it's only available in the U.S., Australia, the United Kingdom, and Ireland. But more markets will be.
How odd! You'd think it'd be available in Finland.
Yeah, right. It may be. Yeah. That's the official list anyway. Anyway, check it out. This is a free version too. So if you're interested in the online music stuff, this is suddenly a great option.
This would be in addition to the Xbox Music. It's different.
Well, see, it depends on your needs.
I mean,
so,
yeah.
Well,
okay.
Xbox Music, as envisioned, offers something like this plus other stuff. It's more stuff.
Right.
It's also more expensive, right?
$3.99 a month is a great deal.
Yeah. So for example, I have years and years of music that I have on my PCs, and I like to have it available everywhere, and that's a different kind of usage. People like my wife just like to listen to music that they like, and so in my wife's case, she listens to Pandora.
Yeah, this is for the Pandora lovers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like Pandora Plus is the way I would describe it. It's Pandora plus more.
But it isn't like Spotify or Xbox Music Pass where I could pick any song and listen to it.
Yeah, so no, not exactly. It sits very evenly. That's what I mean. It's very hard to describe where these things are.
Oh, just download it. Try it.
Functionally, it is between Pandora and Spotify.
Right.
I think is the way to put it.
Okay.
It does interact with your actual music collection as well. So if you have music on the computer,
that's nice.
You can play it through the, so it gives you that single app access. So that works on the phone too, by the way.
And great if you like Pink.
Yeah, I heard about that. So
it's kind of pink.
I made a comment about the pinkness of it. I'm told they're working on that.
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's hard to miss.
Yeah, it's pink. And now, Mary Jo Foley, it's time for you and your enterprise pick of the week.
Yes, I have another acronym soup enterprise pick of the week, but it's a good one. It's MDOP, MDOP. So that stands for the Microsoft Desktop Optimization Pack. And the 2013 release of this came out this week. What it is a bundle of different virtualization and management tools that Microsoft makes available to its volume licensing customers if you have software assurance, which is like the guarantee plan. If you have that, then you can just download these tools for free. That's part of your software assurance subscription. And the most significant thing in this week's release is what's called MBAM, M-B-A-M, Microsoft BitLocker Administration and Monitoring.
That is a great acronym.
That's a mouthful, right?
MBAM.
And the MBAM release that's part of this bundle is very much targeted at Windows 8. So if you're somebody who is an enterprise user who is trying to manage Windows 8, you probably do want this particular MDOP release. So after we spent the whole first part of the show saying no businesses use Windows 8, if you are one of them who is, this would be very useful.
MDOP.
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 Yep.
And Oprah is your, no. It looks like your codename pick of the week.
Right. My codename pick of the week is Arapa.
Arapa.
And this was a codename pick a while ago, but I brought it back this week because Microsoft ended up selling off its IPTV business this week to Ericsson.
What was the name of that?
It was called Media Room.
Oh, yeah,
Microsoft
Media Room. That's right.
Yep.
Okay.
So Microsoft's been trying to crack the IPTV nut for over a decade. They kept trying, and they ended up actually selling a lot of it through different distribution partners and channel companies and all. But they ended up selling it off because they've decided instead of betting on IPTV as a separate thing, they're going to bet all their IPTV focus and their TV focus in general on the Xbox, which we already pretty much knew. But just a couple years ago, there was this code named Arapa floating around, and what it stood for. Well, I should say first, it's a game park in Botswana, which is an interesting pick. And it was supposed to be how Microsoft was going to integrate Xbox Live with IPTV. They had a whole plan for it. They coded it. It was ready to launch, and then they stopped and pulled back, and instead ended up in the end selling off the IPTV business and putting all the eggs in the Xbox basket for TV. So very interesting times if you're trying to track what Microsoft's doing with Xbox and with TV. They're all in on Xbox and not doing IPTV anymore.
Wow. That makes sense, though, doesn't it?
It does. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Whoever heard of Media Room, really?
It's funny.
Exactly.
People say that, but they actually claim to be the #1 IPTV vendor. But it's usually sold under other names.
Some others,
like
it's
AT&T Uverse is really.
Oh, it's Media Room. Oh, well, yeah. I've heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The last and only time I ever visited Microsoft's Mountain View campus was to learn about this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Long time ago.
Microsoft Mountain View. Are they still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I'm in the mood, I don't know about you, for a little bit of beer.
Yeah. Got a good beer pick of the week. Since we've been talking about Gemini at the start of the show, the code name for Office. I said, what would be a good Gemini-related code name? How about Evil Twin?
You're good. This just proves there's a beer for every.
There is a beer for every
moment.
occasion. Yep. So Evil Twin Brewing is this great brewery in Denmark, and their beer is pretty readily available everywhere in bottles. I had some this weekend on tap, and it was amazing. I had the Evil Twin Yang, which is a double IPA.
Ooh.
It's 10%, so not for the faint of heart, but it's awesome. And what's really cool is they also do a beer, Evil Twin does, called Evil Twin Yin. And so if you combine the yin and the yang, you have a black and tan. A very powerful.
That's kind of cool.
It is, right?
It's modular beer.
Modular beer, yep.
You get the yin, I'll get the yang. Now, if you're going to drink Danish beer, you should ought to have some Berkholm's Danish cookies with it.
Perfect.
So some viewers who live in Solvang. I bet you Paul knows Solvang. It's a small Danish town as you drive down the coast. Actually, you're on Highway 101, right? Yeah, drive down 101 in California. You see these signs. Anderson, that's Buellton. Yeah. But it's near Buellton, Solvang. 10 minutes from Buellton. You see the sign, Anderson Pea Soup. So you go, you get some pea soup, and then you go to Solvang, which is like, it looks like this little turn-of-the-century Danish village. And, wow, thank you. This is from Berkholm's Solvang Danish Bakery, a couple of visitors. What are your names? Mark?
Sabatini and Nicholas Sabatini.
Mark and Nicholas Sabatini, the father and son that visited us and brought us Danish cookies. So, Paul, Mary Jo, can I go great with your beer?
I expect you to
That'd be
wait and
awesome.
hold some of those for us.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to be, now tell us that. You're going to be in studio.
Actually, we need to figure
For
that
build,
out. So,
right? We do.
let's. A rough plan would be it's the last week of June, so 25th ish. I want to say is the Thursday, 7th, 27th, something like that. Maybe because the show is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know if it's possible for you folks to come to Moscone.
Oh,
But I also wanted to inquire about the possibility about having some kind of like a party type event at TWIT, maybe Friday or Saturday.
we're so far north from San Francisco. I mean, you can, of course. We'd love to have a party here. I wonder if people will take the trip up the coast.
Oh, I think they will, Leo.
We could take the ferry.
Take the ferry and walk 50 miles.
Yeah, walk
It's not so
50
bad.
No.
Ferry ends at Larkspur. I
Well,
wish there were a ferry all the
we
way.
should have some form of get together.
And we could maybe get a party bus.
Yep.
Love to have a party in here. We haven't had a party here since you were here for the grand opening.
So we should think about it, figure it out.
I'd love to do that. Yeah, let me talk to the boss and see what she says. She's
Check
got
on your dongle.
She's got my dongle. What can I? Pretty much got me where she
We
wants.
could bring our own beer.
Oh,
Yeah.
you need not bring beer. Remember, you're coming to the beer capital of Northern California.
I know.
We will
Maybe we
have.
could get some donations.
We'll get some donations. Maybe we could find some Pliny. Would be nice.
Oh man, that'd be amazing.
Wouldn't that be nice? Then we get people coming up north.
Yep.
Paul Thurrott is the editor-in-chief of the Supersite for Windows, winsupersite.com. Mary Jo Foley, of course, lives at allaboutmicrosoft.com. Between them, there is nothing they don't know about Windows, and that's why they host the #1 Windows show in the world, Windows Weekly. There's nothing better. There's nothing bigger. There's nothing more faboo.
That's what I always say. Not in those exact words.
Nothing
but
more faboo. No, but I mean, it's hyperbole and all that, but I would venture to say that there is no other Windows show more listened
Period.
to.
You said it right there.
Well, no, louder notes, but there are many Windows shows, but there's none more listened to, more influential, more important than Windows Weekly. I would say that is the case. I would say, and it's
comfortable
thanks
with
to
that.
you guys, not me for sure.
I think you play some small, tiny, ancillary role.
Ciliary. I am a ciliary. That's my job.
Ancillary, whatever the word is.
Ciliary role. Thank you, guys. We do the show every Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 UTC on twit.tv. If you watch live, there's cookies. But if you don't, hey, on-demand versions, audio and video available after the fact. Just download them from twit.tv/WW or wherever finer internet broadcasts are aggregated, like the Xbox Music.
We really need to work on the language of this industry.
It's no right. Well, I don't want to call it a podcast. This is so
I know.
not
I mean,
a
it's
podcast.
just so awful. Like where things are aggregated. It's like
You see the
know,
problem.
It's like making sausage.
It is. And right out in the open.
It's the aggregator.
Well, yeah,
Let
aggregate.
me turn the little hand crank and aggregate some sausage out of this.
So that's why I say it's easy. Just go to twit.tv at that live time or twit.tv/ww. That seems like the easiest thing. And we do have links at twit.tv/ww to all the different places you can subscribe if you want to get it every week. Thank you, sir. Thank you, madame. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week on Windows Weekly.